The past year has been a really busy one for the royal family, with everything from Prince Andrew's now infamous Newsnight interview to Prince Harry and Meghan's shock departure from the firm.
But what will the summer months bring for the family? Royal editor Camilla Tominey joins us now to explain more. Nice to have you back in the studio.
I'm here. Do you know what? I'm in good company because the Tominey family business used to be ice cream.
Really?
It's made its way by the way it's made. Often licked, never beaten. And based where Deb was from, in St Albans.
Is that right?
Yeah. So they have it. Clotted cream, I think, is a good secret ingredient for ice cream. But anyway, I digress.
Is there anything you don't know about?
Well, quite a lot. But what I will tell you about is the royal summer plans. So that Newsnight interview, and in fact, Megxit seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? And what we really know at the moment, August is usually the month that they take off, like you two, TV royalty. And we think that the Queen will go to Balmoral, so that's the normal plan for every year. But what we don't know is she going to be returning to Buckingham Palace afterwards? And that's hanging in the balance, and it's difficult because the Royal Collection Trust has just announced that it's made huge losses, like £64 million worth of losses because of the lack of visitors. And it's that trust money that basically helps to fund the whole household. So there are people working in London particularly that are worried about their jobs. There's a recruitment freeze. They're asking for voluntary redundancies from the trust people. And at the moment, the Queen and Prince Phillip are still holed up at Windsor Castle with a very small group of staff, 22 members of staff actually called HMS Bubble, that are cocooned around them. And with everything going on, the palace will follow the government guidance, but it might be unlikely that she's back in London this year and remains in Windsor Castle. So in the meantime, the other royals will have to step up to the plate. There may be some events that go ahead at Buckingham Palace, but will they be officiated by Prince William and Prince Charles? Yes, probably.
Do you think she will sort of still keep up appearances, as we've seen, sort of the messaging online, things like that? Because we sort of need her, don't we? And whenever you see her face, you sort of feel grounded again. Right, the Queen's here, and it, you know, that's her important role.
She's not just head of state, is she? She's mother of the nation. And in that "We'll meet again" speech, she was showing her own need to be visible. She's always said, "I need to be seen to be believed." We also saw her on that first Zoom video conferencing call with Princess Anne. That was her way of saying that I want everyone to know that I'm still around.
And she's can adapt.
And can adapt. And she's still carrying on with affairs of state. She's seeing her red boxes every day, which carry all of her state papers. She's having weekly phone calls with the Prime Minister. So the work continues. But obviously that face-to-face role that she so enjoys, and she's the one that enjoys meeting the public and having that face-to-face contact, can't really resolve until I think we're a little further down the line with this, maybe in the autumn.
You were mentioning the fact that the other royals will have to step up to the plate, the younger ones. Of course, we're 2 down now.
Yes.
So what is the latest on the court case?
Well, the court case latest is Meghan basically saying to the Mail on Sunday, who she's suing over the publication of that letter she wrote to her father last year, that the 5 friends who gave an interview about that letter to People magazine should not be identified at all in any of the press. The Mail on Sunday have come back and said, we had no intention of identifying them. They're using the example of those 5 friends to make their case for Meghan invading her own privacy. They're saying that Meghan knew these friends were going to speak to the US magazine. They're the ones who revealed the contents of the letter, so it was all right for us to publish it later. You look at the case and how it's playing out, and it's already getting quite acrimonious, and you think, whoever wins, is there ever going to be a victory for anybody on both sides of this divide? It's a bit like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard situation, where all of this dirty linen is getting washed in public. And you think to yourself, there are no winners here, bar the lawyers who are charging by the hour, right?
Absolutely.
So it's unfortunate, and it does nothing, of course, to repair the Markle and Markle relationship, because still we think that the Duchess is not speaking to her father.
Well, there's a new book, isn't there? The Harry and Meghan book, Finding Freedom. So do you think we're going to learn anything from that? Well,
that comes out on August the 11th, and it's meant to have... It's not an authorised biography, but it's meant to be written in sympathy with the Duke and Duchess as a position. I spoke to somebody at the Palace earlier this week who said, we don't know what's in this book, but we get the impression that the institution is going to come in for some flack here. This idea that the royal family didn't protect them and look after them and support them when Meghan married in. So that's going to make for uncomfortable reading. But this idea that the couple could leave the UK and go and live this quasi-private life in America seems a fallacy, right? It's not just this book. I think 2 have been published, 2 more are due to be published, and this court case effectively, once again, creates a publicity storm around them.
I mean, they must be so stressed, like their heads, just as individual human beings on this planet, with all of that going on.
Yes.
You just can't imagine what they're going through.
Well, it's stressful as well because they wanted to have this great relaunch in America, right? And they have their new charitable foundation, Archwell. It's named after baby Archie. And for them to kind of hit the ground running over there. And of course, coronavirus has put a stop to end of it, all of it. We don't know when their Apple TV series is coming out with Oprah about mental health. That may have been put on hold. So it's been a bit of a damp squib, and that's not what they wanted. They're going to have to reset this, I think, in January.
What about the Sussexes and the Cambridges? How's that relationship now?
Well, in a way, as far as their charitable collaboration is concerned, the final death knell was sounded on the relationship in the winding up of both of their contributions to the Diana Foundation. So the brothers previously used that as a kind of joint initiative in order to raise funds for their own charitable endeavours. Now they've said that they're going to siphon the funds off separately. So quite symbolic, that really, this idea that those Diana-related funds are now going in two different directions. We don't really know whether the brothers have particularly been in touch. There was the Sandringham Summit in January where they did sit down and have that long chat to work out the so-called divorce deal. But as it seems at the moment, obviously the Cambridges are doing their own thing, and I think they've won plaudits for being extremely visible throughout coronavirus and taking part in countless Zoom conference calls. The Sussexes' videos have been not brilliantly received in the UK. I think they've got this impregnable fan base in the US where people are much more sympathetic. But there are some people who are saying, you know, they've kind of turned their back on the Queen and country.
Just finally and quickly, the Prince Andrew story doesn't seem to be going away.
Yeah, that's going nowhere. Obviously, the arrest of Ghislaine Maxwell raises questions about the urgency with which they want the Duke of York to cooperate. They say that they've reached out, they want him to speak. His lawyers say they're bewildered because they've made the offer for him to speak to the US prosecutors and they haven't heard anything back. One wonders whether the two sides' interpretation of cooperation differs. The US prosecutors probably want him to do a sworn affidavit. He just wants a casual chat. But again, that's not going anywhere, that story, and will continue to run over the summer.
All right,
Thanks,
thank
Camilla.
you. It's really
Nice
lovely
to see you.
see you.
Have a good holiday.
Thank you. Thanks very much.